Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth. I'm your host, the Game Master, and today we're talking about the Neo from X-Men. They were to mutants what mutants were to humans. I always thought they were incredibly cool, and most fans I know have never heard of them before. Anyways, before we get into it, smash the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and as always, leave us a comment. We've got an awesome community here, and it's all thanks to you. So thank you so much for being here. So, having said all that, let's get into it. Prologue to this one takes place in the early 21st century in a church where the mutant known as Nightcrawler is studying to be a Catholic priest. As he kneels before the altar in front of the church, a laser sight appears on his back, and a member of the race known as the Neo fires a crossbow bolt at the blue skinned elf. At the last possible moment, Nightcrawler teleports just as the arrow has begun to puncture his skin. So he's been shot, but is not dead. There's a puff of reddish colored smoke and the familiar BAMF sound as Wagner teleports to the roof, holding on to a gargoyle for dear life. In the church below, the Neo named Kilmer haunts the Neo known as Rax for failing to terminate the lowly mutant. Rax insists that it was a perfect shot and that Nightcrawler should have died. Another Neo named Jaeger explains that Nightcrawler was too quick and sensed what was happening, saving himself. Their leader is a female Neo named Domina. She says that the element of surprise is critical, and now they have a witness running loose. She orders the others to find Nightcrawler and exterminate him. So Jaeger searches the scene and finds a drop of Nightcrawler's blood. He licks it, and now he has all of Nightcrawler's powers and abilities too. On the roof, Nightcrawler says a prayer, asking God to take care of him. Then Kurt says the good news is the crossbow bolt missed his spine and everything still moves. But the bad news is he's numb, which means he's already going into shock. So he has to find help and quick. Just then, Jaeger teleports to the roof, attacking once more. But again, Nightcrawler teleports away, which brings us to the main plot. Nightcrawler appears in a medical clinic ran by Dr. Cecilia Reyes McCoy, the wife of the X-Man known as Beast, aka Hank McCoy. Again, there is the familiar BAMF sound, the reddish smoke, and the smell of brimstone as Nightcrawler collapses in front of her. Not wasting any time, Cecilia gets to work patching him up. Kurt apologizes, and she tells him he doesn't have enough breath to waste on words. Just then, Jaeger appears again, this time shooting Cecilia. She erects a force field that punches him through the wall. She comments that she's never seen it be so powerful before, but Jaeger pulls himself up, saying it still wasn't powerful enough. She is a mere mutant, while he is a Neo, a double mutation, and the future dominant species of this planet. Nightcrawler sees him trying to kill Cecilia, so Kurt jumps into action, and the two men fight at blinding speed. Since Jaeger absorbed Nightcrawler's powers, it means they both have superhuman dexterity. But Jaeger has the powers he got from the blood of other mutants as well. And as he prepares to kill Nightcrawler once and for all, Cecilia uses her force manipulation to send glowing yellow spikes through Jaeger's chest, killing him. Kurt is shocked, and Cecilia explains that she felt she had no choice. Jaeger would have killed him, so she broke her oath as a doctor to do no harm. Meanwhile, in space, more Neo attack a space station because on board are Cable, Colossus, Lifeguard, Maggot, Marrow, Sage, Shadowcat, Stacy X, and Thunderbird, aka Neo Shara. They evade the attacking members of the Neo and get to a space shuttle streaking down towards Earth. In Brooklyn, more Neo look up and they see the shuttle coming in hot. Rax asks what that is, and Domina says it is their prey, fleeing the station. The Neo make their way to Cecilia's clinic, where they find the body of Jaeger, the lover of Domina. She is furious and swears vengeance. On the space shuttle, things are heating up and falling apart, so Cable uses a bit of the telekinesis that he got from his mother to hold everything together in one piece. The space shuttle crash lands on a runway of JFK International Airport, skidding across the 3-mile long stretch of pavement until finally it comes to a stop in the cold waters of Grassy Bay. The X-Men get out and tread water. Meanwhile, Cecilia and Kurt make it to a warehouse where she tries to deal with his injuries, but the Neo keep chasing them, giving them no time for rest or healing. Cecilia is at a dead end and running out of hit points when she gets jumped by two new members of the Neos. One is Antius, a personification of strength, while the other is Salvo, whose arms morph into Gatling guns. Salvo opens fire and Cecilia throws up a force field in a desperate attempt to save herself. Just as things look their worst, Colossus crashes through the ceiling, jumping on Antius. The other X-Men fight the Neo and outnumber them, so the X-Men win. Archangel shows up too, lending a hand, but then Domina gets involved, and she takes Salvo's powers for herself, firing her gun arms at the X-Men, doing a ton of damage. Then she uses Neutralize to shut off their powers. They take cover as she opens fire and laughs as she taunts them that they're all going to die soon. Then 3 adamantium claws pop through her chest. "Not tonight, darling," says Wolverine. Logan keeps her busy while the others escape. He beats her down, then follows his teammates back to the X-Mansion. Once there, Cecilia gives Nightcrawler significantly better medical treatment with the help of the Shi'ar technology under the mansion. And the X-Men finally get some well-earned rest. The next day, Cecilia and her husband, Beast, spend the morning together, while Jean Grey and Wolverine talk about the Neo. Jean is the team leader now that Cyclops is dead. She has the X-Men train, and she tries to form a plan to deal with the Neo. As they do that, Archangel returns to New York City, only to be attacked by a group of 5 female villains called the Twisted Sisters. Their leader is Helix, and she seems to have Archangel's old metallic wings, but they glow blue with energy, and when she fires her dagger-like feathers into her enemies, they do a ton of damage. The rest of the X-Men show up to help Archangel, and the woman known as Geyer slashes at Colossus with acid-laced claws, leaving burning cuts that eat through even his metal skin. Wolverine shoves Colossus into some water to wash away the acid, and then the X-Men knock the rest of their enemies into the water as well, and they are swept away, while Colossus sinks like a stone. The X-Men rescue Colossus, then return to the X-Mansion, where, to their surprise, they find Professor X, who has returned from the Shi'ar galaxy, with a Skrull woman who was part of a group that he taught there. They were basically the Skrull equivalents of the X-Men. The X-Men ask the professor about his time there, and Xavier tells them that there is something wrong with their old ally, John Redbridge. He has come into the possession of an item known as the Loc-Nar, and among other things, he married the Shi'ar Empress, and now he runs the entire Shi'ar Empire. In return, The X-Men tell Xavier about the Neo race that keeps hunting them. So the X-Men agree right now the Neo are the more pressing matter. That night, the mansion is attacked. And at first, the X-Men assume it's the Neo, but it's actually a group of human soldiers. The X-Men fight off the invaders with the help of Gambit and Bishop, and the X-Men win. On the news, they see that Senator Kelly has been assassinated. So the X-Men are up to their eyeballs in drama right now. Which brings us to the epilogue. Dr. Hank McCoy yells loudly, and mutants throughout the Xavier School grounds hear him and come running. But it's not trouble that made Beast yell, it was a celebration. He's finally found the cure for the legacy virus. But there's a catch. In order for everyone to be cured, whoever takes the injection must die. Beast actually overlooked this, but his wife caught it. So Beast says it's back to the drawing board. Cecilia stays behind to study the new formula, while everybody else goes outside to play a game of basketball. Everyone, that is, except for Colossus, who knocks out Cecilia and injects himself with the cure. He then keels over. Cecilia wakes up and does CPR, but it's too late. The gentle giant gave his own life so that the lives of countless others could be saved. And just being here with him means that Cecilia is now a carrier for the cure to the virus. One by one, the mutants spread the cure around the world, and the legacy virus is finally eradicated. And that seems like a good stopping point. Colossus died in Uncanny X-Men issue number 390, which I hated to see because he and Rogue were always my two favorite members of the X-Men. On the other hand, the Neo first appeared in X-Men issue 99. That was the return of Chris Claremont, who was one of my favorite X-Men writers of all time. I thought the Neo had a ton of potential, but that run was sort of a slow burn. I think the bigwigs at Marvel got impatient and cut it prematurely short. In the comics, Magneto shows up and effortlessly stomps the Neo, which was ridiculously anticlimactic. So in our game, we did not do that. Instead, we said some of the Neo went to the new Imperial Palace and tried to kill various harem girls like Rogue and Dazzler. So Emperor Redbridge beat them and basically told them to serve him or die. So they opted to serve him. And we kept them around way longer in our game than Marvel Comics did in the comics. As a brief aside, I could have sworn that there was a Neo who had the power to make sure that if one Neo had a power, then they all had that power. So when Yeager licked Nightcrawler's blood, gaining super dexterity, that would mean that all the Neo would then gain super dexterity, making them a massive threat. Anyways, I remember thinking that was a really cool idea, but now I can't find that character anywhere, which is weird. So if anyone listening knows who I'm thinking of or has like an issue number or something for me, let me know in the comments section. Speaking of the comments section, while you're at it, check to make sure you're still subscribed and smash that like button. And from everybody here at the longest running superhero role playing game on earth, we hope you have a good one, and we'll see you in the next adventure. Bye.